Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday. My name is Jan Barlow, and I am just so excited to be here for our Leukemia and Lymphoma Society fundraiser. And I have joined the team with Kate Bays, who is the Visionary of the Year candidate, along with Amanda Jurgis and Angela Austin. So thank you, ladies, so much for sharing your Saturday with me today. And I'm so excited to be here to celebrate this organization that has helped so many people. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, what I would love to ask, Angela, when we first met and we were talking about this event, the Stream of Hope, I really was impressed because you told me that you have been with the LLS for what, 10 years?
Yes, I have been
Wow.
in. Um, I've been in nonprofit since 2006, oncology nonprofit, and then in October it will be 10 years that I've been with LLS.
That is unbelievable. Most people don't stay, especially recently in the last 5 years. Most people don't stay in an organization that long. What has held you there? What has called you to stay there?
Well, honestly, there's so many reasons, over the past 10 years that I have just loved being here. Um, it's an amazing organization, and I am not only proud, but I feel very lucky to be a part of the mission at LLS and all that they stand for and do.
You know what I love about, especially as we spoke, and when you feel called to do something, right? I mean, when
Right.
do you remember back at your when you were interviewing for the position, what were some of your thoughts? I mean, you could go anywhere with your skill set. What were some of your thoughts when you were making that decision to join them?
Sure. I actually sought out LLS, and I wanted to interview at LLS. If you go way back, my grandmother was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2006, and I just kind of stopped everything in my life, and I wanted to help any way that I could. So I was a big part of taking her to treatments, and just, we went to chemo once a week, every Tuesday. And when I was there, I actually noticed a flyer that someone would come to your house and clean, or just all of the different flyers of organizations that are out there to help cancer patients. And I thought, you know what, I want to be a part of that. I want to try and help these patients that have to deal with this terrible disease. And that's when I started looking into oncology, and I started looking at LLS. And it's just, like I said, it's an amazing organization. The things that they're able to do for patients through, research, education, advocacy, so many different ways, that patient services, which I hope to talk more about today. Um, just it's remarkable, and I'm just very proud and lucky to be a part of it.
You know what I love especially with Better Job Fit, we always talk about people creating their next. And you are one of the best examples because of your
Mm.
personal connection and personal story of your grandmother and how cancer affected her, and you being in that bubble, to put out that rocket of desire, of purpose, of feeling that calling. Like, I want to be part of something bigger, especially
Right.
since you were directly impacted. When you talk about you're caring for that person and you're taking them to their treatment, um, that's on a personal level. So when we talk about taking that really life experience, that personal experience, and then connecting
Mhm.
that to a higher calling of purpose and purposeful work, right? I think that's really what
Right.
a lot of people are searching for, is, like all human beings, we want to have purpose, right? But
Right.
sharing your story and you living that with your grandmother, and how that connected synchronistically to your calling and how you wanted to do something greater for the greater good is so inspirational. So thank you for sharing that story.
Sure. Yeah. And then, of course, along the way, you have so many others, unfortunately, that, I'm sure we all know folks that have been diagnosed with cancer. And it's just um, watching when I always think, whenever someone's diagnosed, the whole family is diagnosed, and
Yeah.
you're really all dealing with that. So, help to the family as well as the patient and trying to make their life just a little bit better and trying to get through it, get to the other side. That's really what they stand for at LLS and what I love being a part of. And they always say you find something you love, you never work a day in your life, right? So
That is
that's
so true. So
it,
true.
it is. And yeah.
So, when you talk about the organization and the services, I mean, there's so much to talk about, but when we picked three or four,
Mhm.
you first talked about the research advocacy, right?
Mhm.
And so
Right.
talk about what those resources when it comes to LLS and those resources. What would you like to share?
Sure. Yeah. Like I mentioned, we are really at LLS trying to move that mark forward, get closer to that cure, trying to help those that are affected by the disease. We do that through the research and advocacy, which are more information about that could be found at lls.org. But to dive in a little bit deeper and talk about those patient programs, where my position in the patient community outreach field is really based on that, the emotional support, the educational support, financial support for blood cancer patients. And I could go talk a little bit more about, I could go in the emotional support. We have one of our programs is called the Patty Robinson Kaufman First Connection program. And it's a wonderful service where patients who are newly diagnosed or in need of support are matched up with a patient or caregiver who is trained and has already been through whatever they're currently going through. So we train these volunteers. We have probably close to 1,000 in our database right now who have been trained. And what we do is we take the newly diagnosed patient or caregiver and we match them up based on their age, their diagnosis, their treatment plan, sometimes their gender, whatever that new patient would like to talk to. And then they talk on the phone, and it's a peer-to-peer support. So they could kind of get that level of tangible hope that's out there, and someone made it through, and what the other side looks like.
That is, when you think of 1,000 people and the power of 1,000, the power of one, the power of 100, right? Exponentially, how that just spreads. But to
Mhm.
have, that connection right off the bat when you are diagnosed, I mean, people, unless you've been diagnosed or have been directly part of, someone who has their experience,
Right.
you just don't know where to start, right? I mean, there are so
Exactly.
many emotions and thoughts are running through your head, but to have
Mhm.
somebody that's gone through it, that's gone through to the other side, that can help you sort out through those emotions, right? And
Right.
really just kind of sift and sort and become your root or one of the people that can be part of your anchor team, right?
That's exactly right. And in the training, we always talk about empathy and just if you haven't walked those shoes, it is hard to support an individual. And um, I always say whenever I'm a trainer for those volunteers, and it's one of my favorite parts of the job, honestly, because to meet these individuals that took something so ugly as cancer and now they're turning it into something so positive and helping others and wanting to stay in touch with those bad feelings, which I'm sure is so hard to do,
Right.
but the support that it offers others is remarkable. It's just something that, us as staff, if we were fortunate enough to not be diagnosed, like we can't really get on that level and do that, and they can and they do. It's I actually have specific examples if you want me to
Oh,
share.
please do
Like,
share. Yeah,
so
those are the best stories.
I know. It's honestly, like I said, it's one of the best parts of my job is getting to meet these individuals. So the um so we always ask for feedback after this happens, and so from both the patient, the newly diagnosed patient, as well as the volunteer. So the after a match had happened, the patient had said that the First Connection volunteer has been a great source of comfort and love. Hearing
Nice.
her story gave her hope as she went through a CAR T treatment and was able to describe what she went through. And it took a lot of mystery out of what she was thinking she was going to expect. Her words of wisdom really stuck. And she said it was listen to her body and rest. And it's these words that pop up in her mind as a gentle reminder, like when she should stop and listen to her body. Today, she woke up from a very long nap and thought of the words as she gave it, and she laid down for some lingering snoozes, and she was just delighted to be a part of that person's journey. And then the
That a
volunteer.
lot of
Oh,
gratitude, it sounds like.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
gratitude from the volunteers' standpoint, really, because they live that gratitude. They've
right.
gotten through this disease, right, on the other
Mhm.
side at least, and to be able to share that and pass it on, I mean, oh my gosh, what a
Right.
wonderful feeling. So, thank you. Continue.
Right, exactly. And then the volunteer on the other side, she said, I think of the patient I spoke with throughout each day since her CAR T treatment. And she's so very grateful for LLS and for the First Connection program that has allowed her to support fellow patients as they navigate their lymphoma journey. It was hard for her to see into the future while undergoing treatment, but those challenging days come back as she speaks to the patient. So, um, just really a true testament to an amazing individual that is really supporting others, even after her cancer and her treatment.
You think that, I know you shared that when they got to relive it again by
Right.
sharing it with the person that's been newly diagnosed.
Hmm.
do- Has that ever? What are some of? Has there ever been a negative? That have you ever shared
Right.
or heard stories of people having to work through that? I mean, it should be quite normal from a
Right.
volunteer. They want to help, but at the same time, they're reliving that.
Right.
So what
Right.
what are some of the volunteers that you feel, anything that they share about that experience?
Well, what we do in the training, we talk a lot in the training about self care. And we give them some tools so they can use them over the years that they're volunteering, to really make sure they are being attentive to their own needs as well as volunteering. So always got to take care of yourself first. Um, and we try and train them to do that. We try and give them the tools that they can do that for themselves. So luckily, volunteers, we always say too, with every match, they can decline a match too. If this is not a good time for them, they
Right.
can decline. So if there are people out there that would like to volunteer for this service, you've been through a certain line of treatment, um, especially for those that are young adults that are diagnosed, we are looking for some more young adults that have gone through it that would like to volunteer their time. Um, yeah, it's just we try and support the volunteers as much as we possibly can, and because the reason why we're able to do so much and move the mark forward, right? We couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely. And Angela, I'm going to create a banner for this. What is for if somebody would like to volunteer for which program?
It's called First Connection, or the Patty Robinson Kaufman First Connection program. And
for the First Connection.
Sure. Yeah. For the First Connection program, they could go to lls.org and either sign up through there, through lls.org, to sign up to volunteer right through there. Or they could also call our Information Resource Center. And that number is 800-955-4572.
Awesome.
And our Information Resource Center is, since we're on that topic, I'll dive into that service that we offer, if you don't mind.
No, please.
It's one of the great services that we offer. So they are master's level oncology nurses and social workers. They're available at that phone number, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. And they are the great way to get connected to LLS. So if you know someone that is newly diagnosed, a family that is going through this, please have them reach out. They will speak with a live person during those times, and we'll be able to support them with anything they need. We, like I said, we have the education support, the emotional support, like the program I just touched upon, the financial support if that's a need. So we really try and meet them where they're at. And they also can field questions on trying to find a good doctor, in your area, if you'd like to get a second opinion, or you're about to start a new line of treatment. What are the possible side effects for this drug? Or what is the first line of treatment for this diagnosis? All of those things are types of questions that the Information Resource Center would love to help with. And then they also connect them with their local person. Like I am a local person within LLS, and then we can help out on the local level as well.
Awesome. And we got a couple of people that are commenting that would like to volunteer for the first First Command program. So love it. Thank you so much, Tim. Really appreciate you, and look forward to adding more people to your 1,000. So that is awesome. Thank you so much. Yay.
Yeah, that's huge.
Also,
thank you.
That is great. Also, everybody, please, if you'd like to donate, please, you can see on also our QR codes. We can show you there. Thank you so much, Amanda. And you can access the QR code and also the link here that's showing up. But you can also, again, QR code. Kate Bays is our team leader. You can also, I believe that Tim put her link also in the chat. So we'll be also having that information in the post afterwards. So no need to fear. We'll get you that information so you can volunteer and just be part of the 1,000 or for your donation. So thank you so much. Angela, when we talk about the other opportunities for resources, I know you have an event coming up on April 17th, right? So if you would, please share. I'd love the title of that, if you could just share what that title is.
Sure. The title is Crushing the Myths of Survivorship and Navigating Yourself Towards a New Normal. So it's on Wednesday, April 17th. That's correct. It's from 6 to 7:30 at the Hilton Garden Inn in South Point. For those that are in the Pittsburgh area, that should be familiar. And it's geared towards young adults. What we're trying to do is bring together those who were diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately, between the ages of 18 18 to 39 or well above if you were diagnosed in between that time and now you're older than 39, you're also welcome. What we're trying to do is educate them about survivorship, about, after treatment, the things that happen and how you can prepare for them, how you can notice the signs, the signals, and get yourself the care and support, and where to go for that care and support.
That is great, and especially a live event to people where people can share stories, listen, look at people eye to eye, right? And be
Right.
able to feel that human connection, I think is
Mhm.
also so important, especially if you've, you know, been with somebody, if a family member or friend has been newly diagnosed. That's a great event to go to so you can actually see, hey, here's survivors that can share their story, that you can ask questions. A physician's going to be there, an oncologist, right? Who's speaking?
Yes. Yes, Dr. Bhatnagar is an amazing hematology oncologist with WVU Cancer Center, and she's volunteering her time to come and share her expertise on the topic. She's amazing. I cannot say enough about her and her practice, and I'm very excited that she's agreed to speak on this topic because it is a question that I'm constantly hearing while talking to young adult cancer survivors.
Well, and finding a good physician is so vital, right? I
Right.
mean, that is something that I know myself, just trying to find a GP, a dentist or whatever.
Mhm.
It really, I find myself being more consciously aware of when I'm evaluating what are the characteristics or the values that I want to really find in a physician. I mean, and I can't imagine when you're talking about something as life and death as cancer treatment, to find the right physician, to find the right center, um, even hospital. I mean,
Right.
that's really so vital. But first and foremost, I love the fact that, so I know that this is an off question, but when it comes to LLS, how, like if they're newly diagnosed, and I would come to LLS and say, look, I need resources to start to evaluate doctors. I mean, is that
Right.
something that LLS, is that part of the resource center?
Yes, I'm so glad that you asked. So it is when you call the 800 number, and again, that's 800-955-4572. Our Information Resource Center can help guide you. But if you go to lls.org, we have many, many booklets available, one specific to questions to ask your physician.
Oh,
So
nice.
um, there's so many booklets. I think, gosh, I don't want to speak about over 50 booklets available. So we
Wow.
have them on all the blood cancer diagnosis. We have them on treatment plans, on managing stress, on nutrition. The list goes on. But if you go to lls.org, you can download them for free on PDF, or you could just add them to your cart for free and have them shipped directly to your home. Most cancer centers do have them on hand as well. But when looking for that physician, the LLS can try and connect you with a local person that can try and aid you in a few different hospital systems in your local area to look for resources on treatment, as well as the booklets that we have available for knowing what questions to ask once you go in there and meet the physician to make sure it's a good fit for you.
Yes, I love that because, when you're sick, it doesn't matter what level, but even more so when you have, a life changing disease like cancer,
Hmm.
you feel, I'm just thinking of myself, you feel like the doctor's going to drive the train, right?
Right.
And you're putting your eggs in that basket and you're just kind of going along. I mean, this is a
Hmm.
time that you truly have to be that and have your advocate with you, truly
Right.
be engaged with those questions, right? Because it's real easy to get lost in that emotion and that wonder, just cloud of
Hmm.
the diagnosis. that you can't even begin to have a clear mind of asking the right questions, right?
Right, right. And I love that you mentioned having that advocate with you, that care person with you,
Yeah.
because it does make a big difference having, 4 years are better than two. Like you hear different things, you take
Yes.
different things from the conversations, and taking notes is always a big thing. How to prepare for your doctor's appointment. These are all things that LLS would love to support you with. So, yeah, just reach out to us, and any questions. We really, just at the end of the day, we want to make sure that that patient feels supported and has all of the information that they need to make this journey that they have to go on a little bit easier.
That
So,
is awesome. Absolutely. That number 800-955-4572. So
yeah,
definitely take that down. I mean, that's a really a basic foundational resource that is so important across the board, right? So thank
right.
you so much for sharing that.
And they are
Um,
amazing. Oh, sorry. But
no, no,
I can't say enough about our information resource center. They are they're they're amazing. They're from the field. They're folks that once were a nurse or social worker in a local hospital, and very well versed in the diagnosis of cancer and helping, and just true passionate individuals. Just I like I said, I feel very lucky to work with every single one of them. They're amazing people.
that is so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
I think what really touched me was the the $100
Right,
donations, right?
right.
When we're asking for donations, sure, $25, 50, etc. And we think, oh, what can $100 do?
Mhm.
Well, guess what? Please share what $100 can do.
Sure, sure. So, the financial assistance program that you're referring to is our patient aid program. And this is where we give $100 to each blood cancer patient. And it's does not matter your income level, your specific blood cancer diagnosis. If you were diagnosed with blood cancer, LLS would love to give you $100, and that is through our patient aid program. Um, it's very simple to apply. And I actually had, I, I think the same thing. Well, at least I used to think the same thing. Well, oh, it's just $100. But honestly, it makes such a big difference whenever you're driving to treatments once a week and paying for parking, or you're driving over 2 hours to get to that treatment to fill your gas tank. Um, all examples of how patients, the struggles that patients are going through so that they could just get to their treatment. That's really what their main goal is. One of those patients had, given us a little bit of how she was feeling, and I could tell you about that.
Please do. Yes.
She said, I wanted you to know, this is from a social worker within a hospital system, that she wanted me to know that she spoke with the spouse of one of the patients, and they were almost in tears about the $100 grant they received from LLS. Evidently, they were down to $40 in their bank account,
Wow.
and they had been behind on utility bills. They weren't sure how they were going to make it to their next upcoming appointments. Um, and they received a check from LLS, and it solved all their problems. They were able to catch up
Wow.
on some of the bills, and they used the funds for gas money to make it to their next treatment. And they were very appreciative of the help. It
I,
almost like it gets
yeah.
me. Just
Well, that's what I'm saying. It touched me when
yeah,
I can remember times when, you know, just regular life got in the way, and
right,
I'm thinking, how can I pay my cell phone bill, right? And
right.
it was $80, and I didn't know how I was going to pay it, right? And I
Mhm.
didn't have cancer, but it doesn't matter when you are faced with, I got to keep my phone on, or I need gas to get to my doctor's appointment. I need to pay this bill to keep the utilities on, and you get that. gift of $100.
Right.
It just your shoulders go down. You just feel this, oh my goodness, I like that one worry has now been taken care of, right?
That's
And
right.
especially mental state during any type of illness is so important
Yes.
for you to, that self-care of calmness, whatever you need to do, right? I mean, it's just so important to remain calm, to, try to be in that higher vibration level, and to say that $100 can do just that. I mean,
Right.
that's nothing. I mean, how many times do you spend $100 a month on coffee? I mean, no,
So
seriously, when
super.
you think about it, if you're
Right.
paying $3,
Right.
$4, $5 a day
Mm-hmm.
on, that's $25 to $35 a week. I mean, how about just, giving up, 1 cup of coffee a month for every day to donate to
Right.
help somebody not worry about if they're going to have gas to go to their doctor's appointment, or if the utilities are going to be shut off, right? To me,
Right.
that's it's minimal to impact so much.
And we do have other financial assistance programs too. So we highlighted patient aid, but the amounts and the support goes up from there. So if you do know of someone, and the proceeds and benefits that you donate today and through LLS goes towards this. So if you know someone that is struggling, that was diagnosed with a blood cancer, please tell them to call that 800 number. We'd love to support them, and not only the patient aid program, but others too, hopefully. So yeah,
Awesome. That resource center number, 800-955-4572. And you can also go on lls.org to get more information. Thank you so much. Just Angela, thank you so much for taking time out of your Saturday to really live your purpose and to share these stories and what LLS is doing. I just so appreciate you and what the whole organization has been able to accomplish and support cancer patients. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. This is a great Saturday. I love that you're doing this. I love that everyone's tuning in. Thank you all so much for your support through Visionaries of the Year, and just support to our patients at LLS, and for the opportunity to talk about such an amazing organization here today. So thank you for your time and your dedication to the mission.
Absolutely. And we're going to have all your information, the links, donation links, the numbers, resource center, etc., and also information that they can sign up for that workshop next week on the 17th. That will all be in our posts. We want to make sure that everybody has that vital information. My friend, have a fabulous weekend. And again, thank you so much for your purpose and your calling for LLS.
Thanks
so much, Angela.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great day.
Welcome, Amanda. You're going to roll that video for our transition to the next segment.
Thank you all who are viewing us. Your support is definitely needed. Jan, that was an amazing segment. Let's watch the video.
Hi, my name is Nora. Thank you for signing up to help patients just like me.
I love little Nora.
Isn't she cute?
She's precious. I mean, you can just feel her energy. She is like just a firecracker. I love it. Nothing's going to keep her down.
Right. And that's one of the reasons. These are some of the stories that we just hear. And even if we don't know these people, just the stories that we hear, and then the impact of everyone, the $100 that we just heard, and your example, Jan, about, it's about just taking something so maybe small for us, or that we consider maybe irrelevant or undervalue, that means so much to somebody else who is actually going through the process, who needs it. So it's just very
You know,
transformative, everything that we heard today from Angela too.
I so again, that $100 just really resonated with me. I mean, and then to think of, just being aware of how much it costs, what you spend in little things in a month, that you're like, okay, I just spent $100 on coffee every day, right? I mean, for a month. When Kate reached out to me, and I know our team is so awesome, Kate Bay's team. I mean, I felt that connection at our first meeting. I mean, it was so cool, the energy and it was a video call, right? I know I was traveling for work, and I was like, oh my God, like I feel this energy and connection to these people. Like this, we're operating at that next level of awareness when, purposeful living, purposeful work. And I think besides helping Kate, she supports Better Job Fit. We have a nonprofit organization. So Kate's always been there for us and for me. And I'm like, Kate, this is a no-brainer. Like, but when she told me it was for LLS, I think what hit me first was my personal story. When I was age 8, I started competing in just local swim meets, right? I was on a team and loved swimming. Loved it. Was in the water, I was a water baby. After I think it was like the first or second swim meet, it was like on a weekend. I remember coming home, like on a Saturday, right? And that night I was so tired. And mom, my mom was saying, oh, you just, you swam really hard. Well, that tiredness continued all through for a month. Then I had nosebleeds, like I couldn't get out of bed.
You felt something was wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And so my mom and my parents were like, okay, something is very wrong. I already have an older brother. He's 5 years older. He has cerebral palsy. So my family is very well aware of, disease and, what can cause a crippling effect, right? When there's something not right. So immediately taking me to the regular our family doctor, and he didn't know what to do. So having these blood tests, and then I was 8, and to be in the waiting or the
scary. Just
exam
thinking
room.
about like how scary it is. Just don't know what's happening. You're also scared about what's happening in your body.
I mean, I would try to sit up and my nose would bleed. So I couldn't sit up.
Wow.
And I had long hair at the time. My mom had to wash she literally had to cut my hair because there was just no way to wash it. And I just remember a month had gone by. Like I was looking out my bedroom window. I was laying down just feeling so bad. Doctors don't know what's wrong. I remember my mom coming in, and I saw my neighbor celebrating, like they had they were outside grilling. And I said, what's going on in Mr. Paskey's house? And my mom said, well, it's July 4th weekend.
Wow.
I've been in bed for a month. I had lost all track of time. And, the doctor, I just remember my parents having to put me in the back of we had I think a Pinto at the time. And my parents had to lay me down in the back of the Pinto. So because I couldn't sit up. But sitting there in the the exam room, and the doctor saying to my mom and my parents, he goes, I'm concerned that it's leukemia. I just remember that's the only thing. I mean, it was so big. I was like, okay, that's
Jen,
not
at that
whatever
age,
that is, that's not a good thing. Okay.
So honestly, that's why I wanted to ask you, like at that age, you were so young. Like how was that kind of conversation? Because of course you didn't know what that means, or maybe you did, but at that point, did you feel kind of like, did you have a conversation with your doctor or with your parents? Like what was your sensation, at least? Because at the end of the day, you were the patient, right? You were having all these symptoms.
Well, but what's interesting, because he didn't know, and he said that. He said, I don't know. We're going to do some further testing, but something's not right. And so my parents, we didn't talk about it because it wasn't confirmed, right?
Yeah.
It's just that first hearing him say that it could be leukemia, and the impact of already having a brother that has cerebral palsy, I'm like, okay, I know this is at not a good level. Like, this is not good news. And so it took like 2 or 3 weeks after that before we got news that it wasn't that. But they still never diagnosed what it was. So all the signs were there for leukemia. It showed up in one blood test that it could be identified as that. And then a couple of weeks later, when they sent off, I guess, the blood report to somebody else, or took another sample and sent it to another, lab,
Yeah.
it came back and it said that it wasn't. But
But
even
they never
then,
confirmed then what actually was happening. And
so
so were your symptoms just disappeared by themselves, or what
they
happened?
after 6
Yeah.
weeks, I could sit up and not have a nosebleed. So slowly went away. And since I didn't have any symptoms and they didn't have any confirmation
It
of
was
what it
brushed off,
was,
more or less.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So it's really, so when Kate said it was for LLS, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I even though I wasn't diagnosed with it,
No, that's
it,
scare.
it,
And plus
it's,
that part of it, like the whole journey that you even face is very similar to a lot of what like we hear from patients, right? But a lot of it
yeah,
also, especially the fact that you were a kid also. And the first thing that you said, and I'm just commenting on that because it's very important when we talk about kind of like patients or people who are diagnosed with kind of different disease or different kind of cancers, we end up kind of forgetting that the support that is around them is very important, but also how they feel, that sometimes they feel like they're a burden to their families, or they feel that they might be
yeah,
adding on to burdens that they have in their families, and how much that kind of I would say more the emotional baggage around it also as well. So not only do you have to deal with this scare, like in your case, it was kind of like the confirmation, those 6 weeks, also the confirmation that something is happening in the 4 weeks before that, like what is going on? That scare is like that scare that you went through. That is all the emotional kind of burden that we talk about. Plus also your first thoughts were, oh my God, like, my brother has
yeah,
also cerebral palsy, and now I don't know what this is, but I know that it's not something good, and it's going to be adding on also the burden. So a lot
yeah,
of the times, and I go back to also what Angela mentioned, it's really kind of the support also that you get from the community, from your family, because it also takes a toll on everybody else, not only you. Of course, you're the main one, but you're also thinking of everyone else while you're also dealing with it yourself. So that kind of like support, community support, that group support, not even in the form of donations. Donations really help, but also in the form of just talking to someone, understanding, even with your care team, right? Like your care team could have done a better job maybe in explaining
yeah.
what could have happened, doing the test, but it's also about you as a patient understanding that you could ask those questions, that you can seek support, you can figure out what's happening. So it's all about awareness also as well, right? And I feel that that's the powerful message that we should be giving,
It's, and back
supporting each
then they
other.
didn't have the resources, right?
That too.
That's exactly right. And it's interesting, like that 2 year window between the time I was 8 and 10, my grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So, you know, at a young age, being exposed to these diseases, and that's why I think I'm so adamant about volunteering for especially those types of causes, because at a young age, I mean, I've been around it, so I know how it can affect a family, right? I mean, so what, Amanda, what was yours, called you to help Kate? And, really what struck you about this
Well,
then?
J- Jen, I don't, I would say that we all kind of have a personal story here and there. For me, it was kind of more indirectly. Over in all of my life, I've had different people, close ones, let's say, that were affected in one type of cancer or another, whether it's kind of like grandparents or whether it's really just a community and just the network that I have. And I'm actually in the medical education space. Like I've been all my life kind of in the science, more in the training, the therapeutic areas, because part of it is because I love the science and then the communication of science, but a lot of it is also to understand more the science and see how we can support better people, whether it's in terms of research, whether in terms of development, kind of like communication of science, simplifying us, whether it's awareness. And for the longest time, that really kind of drove everything that I've been doing kind of in life, along with the work that I'm doing, whether supporting one-on-ones with people or also being. And part of my network, I met Kate, who is an amazing, as you know, is an amazing human like you. And we just connected. And when she kind of reached out, and I know some of the stories that she shared, and all of you, honestly, and I just couldn't not help or not support it. Like I love empowering people, I love supporting people, but one of the main things for me is really science communication. I feel that everybody can benefit from the knowledge, everybody can benefit from just supporting each other, just leading with compassion, empathy, and just being in this space. I just couldn't not just sit on the sidelines. I really wanted to help, and just being a part of this team, being a part of the live stream, just supporting, spreading awareness, right? Just donations, any $1 helps.
Yes.
Really just brings that sense of we're all supporting each other for a higher purpose, right? Like you mentioned it more beautifully. And for everybody who's hearing us, this is really the first time we don't know each other that well. Like as Jan put it before, we really met through Kate. So Kate really brought us all of us kind of together. And when we all met, like Jan put it, it was really that energy kind of surge. Each one of us has different experience, has a different story, whether they wanted to share, and we all were doing it for a different purpose. It's really, really nice to kind of see how we all were connected to the same cause. Although we have different expertise, we have different background, I just felt that we were all coming together for a greater cause. And that's why I'm here mostly.
I love that. I mean, especially with your work that you're doing, your coaching work, you have that beautiful gift, one of your many, especially tech. Thank you so much. But but you so connect with that human connection and communication and taking it to the next level that can evoke that empathy from others. So thank you so much for all the many gifts that you bring to the team and to help today, to help me. So thank you so much. My partner in crime today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And honestly, for everyone, please, just a reminder, you can scan to donate, or you can go also to the link that is in the banner below. Every $1 helps, really, like whatever you can to support. Anything can help. You heard from Angela also before that what the $100 do. And really for us, anything that we take for granted could really be helping someone else. So let's really start thinking about how we can really support each other, how we can bring the compassion and empathy, because it does have a place in the world and it does make a difference for everyone around us. Even just asking someone how they're feeling, or if they just want someone to just listen to them, really makes a difference. It's not really about just understanding, and it's not really about it's not about having pity or feeling really sad
That's
about
right.
someone. It's really about feeling the empowerment. They need those positive vibes. They need those healing vibes. You're there to listen. You're here to support. And as long as we have that on mind, that's what we need to think about.
Well, and I think specifically what you just shared, Amanda, about, we don't want to have feelings of sadness or pity. Empathy is strength, is providing a support of your strength to share with someone else, right? Even volunteering, you don't have to give any, financially. They need volunteers as well, especially for the, anything, could be answering a call center phone, could be, Angela has the connections for the resource center. So I'm sure they have plenty of opportunities for lay people, so to speak, to become volunteers. And they have a great training program. I know that. So if you want to volunteer, please reach out to Amanda or myself or even Angela. But you can, message me on LinkedIn and we'll get you connected to the right people at LLS to, again, either volunteer or make your donation. When I was doing a little research, I couldn't believe how many famous actors and actresses have had leukemia.
That is really like, that was interesting. Like, if you don't mind, like sharing a couple
No,
of
please do.
those,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like
So
this. Yes.
I want to look at this because I had posted it. Let's see. I had Robert De Niro came up, and
Oh,
that's what. Yeah. I was shocked about that. I mean, I don't know. Let's see what we have. Um, what do they have here? We have some of these people I'm not really sure of. Vanessa Bayer. Oh, Saturday Night Live. She was on Saturday Night
oh,
Live. At age 15, she underwent chemotherapy, right, for over
oh,
2
okay.
years. And so she finally beat it by the time she was in high school. Who else?
Wow. Is
Roman
there a
Reigns. So
segment
not sure.
maybe that she mentioned some of their
Not sure about
stories, Jen?
him. Um, I'm looking as far as for the LLS site. I know that they have. I'm pretty sure they have stories of survivors on there. This is probably dating me. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the famous basketball player, he was
Yes, yes.
diagnosed back in 2008. I forgot about
If
that.
I think I remember that. I think that was a big
I'm just
hit
trying to think
also, because what
of
was he still
seeing anybody
playing?
here.
Was he still active when I think he was still active, no, when he got
No, he
diagnosed, but
was
I'm not really
retired. No,
sure.
he was
Oh, he was
retired.
retired at the time. Okay. Okay. But honestly, it's all of these stories. Like, I know some of these that, and celebrities, I feel celebrities
I
do play a
Yeah, he was
important
retired because
role,
this was
right,
in
Jen?
2008. I guess announcing.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think I'm just saying that it's a really important also to shed light on the fact that celebrities can play an important role in also spreading that awareness, other than spreading their own personal stories sometimes. And you see that a lot of
Oh yeah,
people, when we, when we kind of like a person, whether it's a celebrity or whether we resonate kind of with their message or the characters that they're playing, or whatever it is, whether as a celebrity, as an artist, or in a different kind of setting as a athlete, or we end up kind of like seeing that because they're in the spotlight, a lot of this stories kind of like get inspired also from them. Like, the more we know, the more it sheds kind of awareness and shed light, and that is part of the whole thing, right? Like, the more when you find out that, let's say, XYZ celebrity had this kind of story and they overcame it, it also gives you a message of hope, right? It gives you that thing of like, oh, like, I can understand more, I
absolutely.
can relate to their story, I can understand more about this, like, oh, like, what can we do? How can we see, how can we know more? And I feel they play a very important role in the community also as well, to kind of spread that. And the more these kind of stories, like, to share our stories as well, but the more we talk about these stuff, the more it ends up not being a taboo. I feel like for the longest time, and maybe that's more the older generation than actually us, but for the longest time we
Right.
always feel that we don't talk about illness. We try not to talk about
Right.
diseases. We don't talk about our experience with it, because we feel that we're either like spreading more negativity, or maybe, I don't know, a lot of people have misconceptions also around it, right? A lot of these stuff. But the
Yeah.
more you understand, the more you come from a message of hope, the more you're coming from the message of support, the empowerment, everything that we were talking about today, Jan, but also everything that in the comments, our wonderful kind of team and the wonderful kind of audience were mentioning as well. That message of hope, the validation, the community, the support, everything come together. But we all kind of follow, role models. We follow kind of like
Yeah.
success stories. We follow kind of like messages of hope, and also the sad stories as well, because those also hold a lot of power. And a lot of the people that
Yes.
in the past are making way for us, right? They're making way because of all the sacrifices that we're making one way or another, whether in research or whether as part of the community. The advancement that we have now, we didn't have back then. So all of the stories that we hear over the years, for me, they're message of empowerment and hope, right? It's kind of like they
Absolutely.
lead the way. They led the way for everything. And it's more about spreading the news, whether celebrities or not. So I love it.
Well, what's interesting, the humbling, when you're in the thick of it and you've been diagnosed, when you see a star or somebody that's in the limelight, so to speak, telling their story that they were diagnosed, there's a first wave of, oh, it's not just me. This isn't it doesn't discriminate. I think cancer, wasn't it cancer that or the Heart Association, who was it that did the red dress commercial of
It
women,
might be the, yes,
right?
yes,
Said that,
yeah.
had all that who it affects, right? And
Mhm.
so when you see like, oh, it doesn't discriminate, right? Cancer
Yeah.
doesn't discriminate.
Yeah,
Disease
there's
doesn't.
no age.
No.
There's no, like, a lot of the stuff we hear. Yeah, you have, when you're researching something, and I'm talking more from the science kind of like part of it. So when you're in the midst of the researching or making way of a certain kind of disease, we kind of like to box certain stuff, right? Like, this is the ideal kind of scenario. It would be someone between the age of this and this, or the
Yes.
stuff. But that doesn't mean that there's no exceptions. It doesn't mean that there's genetics and like environmental factors that play a role with it. Like, there's a lot of other factors, so we don't know. And we're like talking about cancer because cancer is the most that we feel is the most, I guess, devastating in terms of the length, or in terms of also the effects that we have. But there's also other diseases, like Tim is mentioning kind of in the comments, the rare diseases and other ones that don't discriminate, to your point, Jan. And are we shedding enough light also on the other stuff? Are we being biased a bit sometimes about like putting some maybe illnesses on a pedestal? And of course, that's a bad kind of metaphor compared to having the analogy of, no, like actually shedding light for all the awareness, because it really doesn't discriminate. And the more we know about this stuff, the more we can support and the more we can spread the awareness about it too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, coming together to share this information and doing these spots like the Stream of Hope, to be able to bring about that awareness, rally people together within an hour, spread the news. Again, $100. When I say, hey, if you can give $100, see what that can do, and help so many people. Volunteer your time, right? That's also something very important. So you're not only your financial resources, but your time resources, right? And sharing your gifts and talents. So that's really what it comes down to. But it's spreading the word, girl, spreading the word.
Oh yeah. And honestly, Jan, I know we're gonna be wrapping up in a minute. Sorry about that. In a minute here, but I just want to remind everyone that we're gonna be also follow us on social media as well, whether our separate ones or also if you're following Kate, please do. And the donation is gonna be open until May 4th. So please make sure to keep donating. Go into the LLS site to kind of find out more information about the LLS, especially about their programs and the upcoming event that Angela just mentioned today. And hopefully we'll continue from there. We're going to be spreading, like Jan mentioned, she's going to be actually sharing the links, sharing the post, the recording. So if there's anything that you need, please feel free to reach out. And Jan, from my side, because I'll leave it the rest to you, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you. I really was happy that we connected. We're just amazing people, all of us on the team. All of you in the comment, you're freaking amazing. Honestly, thank you so much for the support as well.
I love you all. The team just rallying around. I just love that. Thank you so much for supporting our session. Again, everybody, lls.org. You can also reach out to me. We're going to be posting the links, donation links as well, the recap links that you can listen in. If anybody has any questions, if you have stories to share, please, again, send them to us. We want to post those along with our recap video. Everybody, thank you again for sharing your Saturday with us. So appreciate you taking time to donate, to be a part of this cause. Thank you, Kate Bays. You are our visionary of the year. Look, we got $5,000 more. We are down to the wire, gang. $5,000. That's all we need. If you're a company that can, if you feel called and you're an owner of a company, if you're a solopreneur, larger business, small, medium, or large business, please, we welcome your corporate donation. Really appreciate it. We need $5,000 more. It's probably less than that now. I mean, whoop, whoop, come on.
Let's
Can
go.
do it.
We can do
By
it.
May
We can do
4th or next week. I mean, we'd love to get it, by the end of today. So thank you again for sharing your time. Just so appreciate you. And everybody, keep on being that force multiplier for good. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.